Hello, friends. Today, we continue our fascinating journey into the dark world of true crime stories. Prepare yourself to analyze, explore, and uncover the secrets of a dramatic and macabre case. Are you ready to enter this thrilling investigation? Let's get started now. We live in a world where we constantly experience the fickleness of human existence. 1 minute, you're having the time of your life with your loved ones around you, and the next, they're yelling for help, stretching out their bloodied hands for you to take, but you can't take it because your life is also flashing before your eyes at that moment. It's not a movie, but it's the most horrific thing you've ever witnessed. It's true, we only live once. But death can be brutal, unexpected, and intrusive. Our love and respect go out to all those who knew and loved the Ortega family and all those affected by this case. Police and coroners located the last of the bodies this morning, a particularly difficult task after the intense fire that reduced the home to rubble. Yes, I'm shocked. I would never picture in my right mind that he would ever do something to a family. I'm just devastated. Imagine a Christmas party with loved ones gathered together, celebrating the holiday season. But in an instant, the joy and laughter turned to horror and tragedy. On December 24th, 2018, the Covina Massacre shook the small town of Covina, California, leaving 9 people dead and a community in shock. Gunshots rang out, and a devastating arson fire filled the home, trapping victims inside. The party turned into a horrible dream, and many people got hurt, with many questions left unanswered. It was a very sad and scary moment, but what led to this unspeakable act of violence? The Covina Massacre remains a haunting reminder that even in the most joyful times, darkness can strike without warning. The Ortega family was having a great time together in their Covina home on Christmas Eve. In the dining room, Papa Joe Ortega, his wife of 53 years, and their children were playing a late-night game of Texas Hold'em. They had just finished dinner and were enjoying each other's company. The grandchildren were in the backyard, playing video games and hanging out near the pool. They were having so much fun that they didn't want the night to end. Meanwhile, upstairs, the Ortega's 17-year-old grandson Michael was sitting at his computer, typing away. It was a peaceful and happy moment, with everyone doing something they enjoyed. But little did they know, this peaceful night was about to turn into a horror movie. Suddenly, there was a knock at the front door. The girl X was so excited, she squealed with delight. "Santa's here!" she exclaimed, running to the door. But what happened next would shatter the family's joy and change their lives forever. A man dressed as Santa Claus walked in, pulled out a gun, and shot the little girl right in the face. 2 of her uncles tried to protect her, but they were also shot and fell to the ground. The rest of the family, including the Ortegas and 3 of their daughters, tried to hide under the dining table, but it was too late. The gunman, who was the ex-husband of one of the daughters, was unstoppable. The fire, started by a flamethrower device, was incredibly intense, causing a massive explosion that sent flames shooting up into the air. The flames were as high as 40 to 50 feet, which is as tall as a 5-story building. It was a huge blaze that required a lot of manpower to put out. In fact, it took a team of 80 firefighters over an hour and a half to finally extinguish the fire. Imagine the danger and fear experienced by the people inside the house and the firefighters trying to save them. The fire was so intense that it made it really hard to identify the victims. The flames were so strong that they damaged the bodies, making it impossible to recognize them. The investigators had to use other methods to figure out who was there that tragic night. They used dental records like X-rays of teeth and medical records like scars or other unique features to identify the victims. It was a challenging task, but they were able to use these clues to piece together who was there. The Ortega family's worst fears came true that night. The gunman, Jeffrey Pardo, was relentless. He killed Papa Joe and his wife, 4 of their children, 2 daughters-in-law, and even the 17-year-old grandson who was innocently sitting at his computer. No one was spared. The entire family, who had been enjoying a happy Christmas Eve just moments before, was brutally murdered. There were around 25 to 30 people celebrating Christmas Eve with the Ortega family, but after the tragedy, the survivors didn't want to talk about it publicly. However, some people working on the investigation shared information that matched what the family members said. This information helps us understand what happened inside the house. The family members described a very scary scene. A man with a gun wanted to hurt and kill people. The family members tried to run away and save their loved ones, but it was very hard because everyone was so scared and confused. When Bruce got to the party, a lot of the grown-ups were near the front door because some people were getting ready to leave, making them easy targets when the attack started. Family members said that Charles, one of the Ortega sons, saw who the gunman was after he shot Charles's little niece, who was only 8 years old. His big brother James was also shot. Someone yelled out, "It's Bruce!" Charles was shot right after James. It was a really scary and dangerous situation, and everyone was trying to get away from the gunman. Irma Chapa Ortega, a close family member, shared a heartbreaking detail about the tragedy. She said that James and Charles Ortega, despite being wounded, tried to get up and stop the gunman. They were badly hurt, but they still tried to stand up and grab him. Unfortunately, they couldn't. Irma also said that the older Ortegas, Joseph and Alicia, and their 3 daughters, along with one of their daughters-in-law, Teresa, hid under the dining room table. The Covina Massacre remains a haunting reminder that even in the most joyful times, darkness can strike without warning. The Ortega family's Christmas Eve celebration turned into a horrific nightmare, leaving a community in shock and a family torn apart by unimaginable tragedy. According to the details shared by Irma Chapa Ortega, a close family member, someone yelled, "Run! Run!" and chaos erupted. The Ortegas and 2 of their daughters, Sylvia and Alicia, might have been killed while they were still in the dining room, but their daughter Leticia, whose little girl was badly hurt, managed to survive. Leticia had hidden under the table for a short time before calling 911. In the frantic 911 call, Leticia told the dispatcher, "I heard the shots and everyone started panicking and running, and we all dove under the dining room table. He's shooting! He's shooting!" "What's your address, ma'am?" "Ma'am, I understand. I need to know your address. He shot. I heard the shots, and they were like, Ho! And I wasn't sure what it was, so we all started panicking and running, so we all dove under the gun. Some of us dove, some of us..." Leticia's daughter had been shot in the face and was bleeding, and she pleaded for someone to come and help. Chapa shared a heroic story about her cousin Leticia. She said that Leticia saw her hurt daughter stumbling out of the house and decided to make a run for it. A person close to the investigation revealed that even though the gunman shot the little girl in the face, she might have saved her own life by turning her head at the last second. The bullet hit her jaw, but luckily didn't kill her. After the initial attack, some of the adults quickly grabbed the kids and carried them to safety. The investigators believed that most of the young people were saved because they were in the back of the house near the TV, probably playing video games when the gunman started shooting. The 8-year-old girl was hurt, and a 16-year-old girl was shot in the back, but they survived. The only young person who didn't make it was Michael Ortiz, a 17-year-old who was sitting at the computer upstairs. Chapa said that Michael was probably killed by the explosion or fire that started when the gunman used a homemade device made from 2 tanks to set the house on fire. A law enforcement source said it appears that Michael was killed as a result of the fire or explosion and was not shot. It's a tragedy that a young life was lost in such a senseless act of violence. Michael's mother, Alicia, was also killed. The murderer, Bruce, a 45-year-old man, was very angry about his marriage ending. He and his wife had just gotten divorced, and he was consumed by hurt and anger. Instead of dealing with his emotions in a healthy way, he decided to take revenge on her and her family by attacking them at their annual Christmas party in Covina, California. A team of FBI experts studied Bruce's behavior and found that he had some mental health issues, including extreme narcissism and obsessive-compulsive disorder. Although these conditions are no excuse or justification, they likely contributed to his decision to commit such a horrific act. Bruce had a plan to escape after his attack on the Ortega family. He had even bought a plane ticket to Illinois, thinking he could just leave the chaos behind and start fresh. However, his plan didn't work out as he expected. When he set the house on fire, he badly burned himself, suffering 2nd and 3rd degree burns on his arms, which are very painful and serious injuries. Instead of escaping, he was left with severe burns. Frustrated by his failed attempt at escape, Bruce drove 40 miles to his brother's house in Sila, where he went to end his own life. Lieutenant Fred Corral from the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office shared that Bruce had a wound on the top of his head, which suggests that he put the gun in his mouth before pulling the trigger. A toxicology test had to be taken on Bruce, and it was said to have taken up to 6 weeks to get the result, which would show if he had any drugs or alcohol in his system at the time of his death. When the police searched Bruce's body, they found something strange, but the details of what they discovered were not disclosed. The Covina Massacre remains a haunting tragedy, a reminder that even in the most joyful moments, darkness can strike without warning, leaving a community in shock and a family torn apart by unimaginable grief. The police investigation revealed some shocking details about Bruce Pardo's preparations for the attack. When they searched his body, they found that he had wrapped $177,000 in cash around his legs with plastic wrap and was wearing a special underwear called a girdle to keep it in place. They also found his rental car parked a short distance away from his brother's house, but when they tried to move the car, they realized it was rigged with a dangerous device that would explode if they touched it. The police had to be very careful when they searched his brother's house, where they found 4 empty handguns and over 200 rounds of ammunition. At Bruce's own house in Montrose, California, the police found even more disturbing items. They discovered empty boxes that had held semi-automatic handguns, a special kind of shotgun called a Benelli M2 Tactical, and a container for a highly flammable type of gasoline. But what was most shocking was what they called a virtual bomb factory in his home, a secret workshop where he had been making dangerous devices. It's lucky that the police were able to find all of these dangerous items before anyone else got hurt. On the outside, Bruce Pardo seemed like a charming and generous person. He had been seen around the neighborhood, even ushering at the church across the street and stopping by to chat with neighbors, giving the impression of a nice guy. However, behind closed doors, he was hiding serious problems. Bruce's marriage to Sylvia Ortega was falling apart, and it was causing him a lot of pain. Even the people who knew him best had no idea what was going on. They didn't know that long before his divorce was finalized, Bruce had started secretly collecting weapons and planning an elaborate escape plan. He was living a double life, and no one suspected a thing. Bruce and Sylvia had met in 2004, introduced by her brother-in-law, who worked with Bruce at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. At first, their marriage seemed to be going well, and Bruce's friends thought Sylvia was perfect for him, a kind and practical woman with a big family who could help him settle down and be happy. But after the first year, Sylvia told friends that Bruce had become cold, miserable, and distant, and they often argued about money. In March 2008, Bruce and Sylvia decided to separate. Sylvia asked Bruce if she could stay in their home until her daughter finished kindergarten, but Bruce refused. While Sylvia was out at a family gathering, Bruce packed up all her stuff and left it on the driveway. Sylvia was devastated and had to move in with her sister in Glendale. She eventually filed for divorce. In the months leading up to the attack, Bruce's behavior became increasingly erratic. He went to a gun store in Burbank and bought a handgun for almost $1,000 in cash. After being fired from his job for fraud, he tried to get unemployment benefits, but couldn't. He went back to the gun store and bought another handgun, eventually acquiring a total of 5 handguns. He also ordered a Santa suit from a costume store, saying it was for a kid's party, and just a week before Christmas, his divorce from Sylvia was finalized. In the days before the attack, Bruce rented 2 cars, a Dodge and a Toyota, and packed the Toyota with all sorts of supplies, including maps, water, food, clothes, and a can of gasoline. It's clear that he had been meticulously planning this horrific act of violence for a long time, and his descent into darkness was a tragic and preventable outcome. The investigation also revealed that Bruce Pardo had packed 2 computers into the Toyota rental car before leaving for his brother's house. One of Bruce's neighbors, Bong Garcia, saw him leaving in the Dodge rental car, which was unusual as Bruce usually drove his fancy Escalade Hummer. Bruce told Bong that he was going to a Christmas party, but Bong thought it was strange. After setting the Ortega family's house on fire, a neighbor saw a blue car drive away with its headlights off. A pair of fake glasses and Santa's hat had been dropped in the front yard. Bruce then drove the 40 miles to his brother's house in Sylmar, where he was found in a terrible state. He had severe burns on his arms, hands, neck, and legs, and his Santa suit had melted into his skin. When Bruce's brother returned home at 3:10 a.m., he found Bruce's body on the couch with 2 guns next to him. Bruce had shot himself in the mouth, still wearing his wedding ring. It's clear that his plan to escape had failed, and he was left with no way out. Despite the immense tragedy, Letitia Yusefsky, the sole survivor from the Ortega family, has chosen not to let anger and hate consume her. She says, "I can't do anything to change what happened. I can only focus on what's brought to me and the good things that are brought to me." Letitia is grateful for the love and support she has received from people she didn't even know, and this gratitude has helped her heal. Letitia has also stopped dwelling on the past and the person who hurt her family. She says, "This is what he's done enough. I'm not going to allow you to consume us with your evilness." Instead, she chooses love and encourages others to do the same. Letitia believes that love is the strongest energy and that it can bring people together and help them heal. Letitia also thinks it's important to teach children about love and kindness so they can grow up to be good examples for others. She says, "Our kids are our future, and we have to be an example for them. If we teach them that it's okay to hate, it's okay to be violent, and make them feel less than, then what hope do we have? Nearly 10 years after the tragedy, Letitia and her niece, Katrina Yusefsky, are working hard to keep their family's tradition and happy memories alive. They still get together for dinner, exchange gifts, and share stories about their loved ones who are no longer with them. On Christmas Eve, they visit the cemetery where their family members are buried instead of going to church. One of the nephews who lost both his parents in the tragedy has become the guardian of his 3 younger siblings. Letitia and her husband took in her sister's youngest daughter, and Letitia worked hard to make sure the surviving kids still had a sense of Christmas. She told them that the Santa who came that night wasn't the real one, and the kids even went to a special camp to help them deal with their grief and trauma. Letitia says that no matter where she looks, there are memories of what they used to have, and then memories of that terrible night, and she can't escape it. But even with all the pain, Letitia knows that Christmas will always be special, and they will keep celebrating no matter what. The detectives who helped the family during the investigation still keep in touch, especially around Christmas. They care about the family and want to make sure they're doing okay. The Ortega family's story is a heartbreaking one, but it's also a testament to the power of love, resilience, and the human spirit in the face of unimaginable tragedy. Please subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any interesting cases in the True Crime Stories series. You will be the first to update dramatic and thrilling crime stories.